endless cycle of undermining black people in this country. And instead of analyzing and pouring through all of this data, the dumbest Republican will go, that's just woke bullshit, brother. I don't care. Are pushing for. That is what we are defending. That's it. That's what's going on. It's fucking disgusting. But the moral depravity doesn't end there. Let's get back to domestic affairs. Twin brother speaks out after witnessing his brother get stabbed and die in his arms. Austin Metcalf, a 4.0 student, was attacked after telling a teen he was sitting on the wrong spot. Carmelo Anthony was later arrested and charged with first-degree murder. This is the story. The reason why I'm talking about this story is because the right wing is desperately looking for anything to shift their attention away from Donald Trump undermining the global economy and global trade and destroying their 401ks and get back to good old days where they could participate in lynchings. And by that, I mean like there is a real... We have officially entered Klansman territory once again. We've never really left. Matt Walsh openly just says the quiet part out loud here with a tweet that when I clocked it had 101,000 likes. I'm going to read you first. I'm going to read you what Matt Walsh said. Then we'll get to the details of the situation. If I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him that he was in the wrong seat, and then I told you that one young man in this altercation was white and the other black, and then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant, every single person would know the answer immediately. Yeah, maybe every single person you know, because that's the assumption that your racist ass is making and all of your other racist friends are making. Why are you volunteering this information? This is basically someone unashamedly saying, I'm fucking massive white supremacist. Okay? Now, let's continue. Young black males are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. That's just a fact. We all know it, and it's time that we speak honestly about it, or nothing will ever change. This is one-to-one Klansman shit, okay? This is KKK. This is Ku Klux Klan territory. I need you to understand. Like, he is just straightforwardly going, young black men. I mean, he said it. I don't know what else to say. He's just saying young black males are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. That's just a fact. Now, that's not a quote unquote fact. That's not how any of this works. But this is the Twitter equivalent of burning a fucking cross and demanding that a lynching takes place. I think it's important to take note of this because of the fact that 101,000 people liked it. Bring a knife and you're going to get first bullied or not. My 401k survived and so did my parents. The drop was from the ultra rich looking to buy more. No, statistically, blacks commit more violent crimes than the minority. Doesn't mean all, but the stats are there. Take. Okay. Crime is not dictated by someone's race. If you think someone's race is an indication of their proclivity to do crime, then you're a racist. That's it. You can be ashamed of being a racist person, or you can potentially re-examine why you feel this way and stop feeling this way, because that's just your feelings. Crime is not determined by race. Crime is determined by your finances, by your financial status, by your material conditions. The likelihood, the proclivity towards violent crime the greatest indicator for a proclivity towards violent crime does not come from your race. It simply comes from your material circumstances. Okay? Poor white people have a higher rate of crime than rich white people do, just like poor black people have a higher crime rate or a higher proclivity towards doing crime than rich black people do. I hope that is clear. Having said that, it seems like this story is not simply about the way that everyone is responding to it, where it's like, oh, Austin Metcalf is a 4.0 student. Not to say that his twin brother is not a victim in this circumstance, because of course he is. He died, okay? He was killed. He died. So let's first start off here, and then let's hear about the additional details that surround the incident.
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless.
I'm sorry, but Asians were super poor as well, and you almost never see them killing anyone, even in the past. So I'm sorry to say, race education matters. 6-month subscriber literally saying that there is racial disparity and it's not about finances. No, that's not true. You're just wrong. You're insanely racist and wrong. That's just your opinion. I hope you understand that. Amazing. Asians are a racist favorite wedge. I know. Let's continue.
And my brother stepped in and said, you need to move. He's like, make me move. Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I looked at my mouth.
Yeah, Chatter never heard about the triads or any sort of like gang activity when people were forced into. Dude, my Asian parents come in Europe with €0 in their pocket and no one of them ever commit any crimes. Okay. Dude, the notion that a consistently dominated ethnic minority that is relegated to the black market for survival is not going to engage in criminal actions or even engage in violent criminal actions is fucking idiotic. You are wrong, okay? There are gangs of every racial minority and of course the racial majority as well. This doesn't mean anything. You have to examine how this happens, why this happens. And it's not because of their genetic predetermined destiny, okay? Unless you are a psychopath who believes in fucking debunked race science in 2025, this is an idiotic argument to make. It's just your own personal feelings talking about your parents. Okay, yeah, your parents didn't have money and they didn't do any sort of criminal acts. That's great. I love that. That's wonderful. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about statistics. Also, your parents didn't commit any crimes seemingly, but they still failed in raising a normal, competent son.
And I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about it.
So you're just saying sociofactors? That's your explanation? No, man, that's not just, you can't just say sociofactors when talking about sociological predeterminations being made, okay? Just shortening it doesn't change it into something irrelevant, okay? Yes, your material conditions are what dictates, with the exception of antisocial personality disorder related crimes or like childhood trauma, and even then you can point that back to your material circumstances. The large majority, if not damn near entirety of crimes are born out of poverty, born out of your material circumstances. And I'm not saying that your going out and doing a rape because you were fucking poor, and it's to get you out of your poverty. That's not my argument. My argument is that if you are born without any sort of social safety nets, if you're born into a single parent household, no social safety nets, no educational attainment opportunities, no job opportunities, you are more likely to do crimes. And it does not matter what race you are. This is why I very clearly said there's a higher likelihood for poor white people to do violent crimes than rich black people. There's a higher likelihood for poor white people to do crimes than rich white people. There is a higher likelihood for poor black people to do crimes than rich black people and rich white people. That's it. It's that simple. And this isn't exactly reinventing the wheel. This is something that I feel like people basically figured out when they figured out the invention of the wheel. I disagree. It's about culture. Oh my God. We haven't had you're just copium right now. I'm sorry, bro. White male here. Oh my God. I didn't realize. I haven't had this conversation in quite a while. Or maybe it's because Asmongold is probably not doing politics anymore. But this is insane. No, it is not about culture. Black culture is the most consumed culture in the United States of America. Are you saying that black culture, which is more often than not consumed by white people, just simply telegraphing violence to black people more than it is to white people? Or do you think there's a different set of circumstances here? Oh yeah, this guy got banned for saying playing the race card again, begged to be unbanned, then turned around and still fucking is trying. Okay, dude, fuck off. Why didn't Jordan build a Palestinian state from 1948 to 1967? Like trying to defend Israel in the silliest ways possible. Since you care so much about indigenous rights, you support the rights of Greeks to go back to Constantinople? Yes, I do. Yeah, they can voluntarily migrate into Turkey and become Turkish citizens in ways that the Palestinians cannot into Israel proper. What's your fucking point? That was my argument back then as well, you dumb fuck. Anyway, where's that white male guy? He needs some smoke too. Yeah, racist guy defending Israel, by the way. Least shocking set of circumstances I've ever encountered. Yes. I think it's important to clarify to people that we're not just saying people commit crimes because they need money. Yes, I'm not saying that. That's why I gave the example of like people don't do fucking rape because they're simply because they're poor and this is their way to make money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the likelihood that you will do a violent crime skyrockets when your material circumstances are dog shit and you have no social safety nets and you have no pathway for a better future. That's it. They need money. Years of poverty and lack of proper resources can breed antisocial behaviors. Exactly. That's the point. At the end of the day, the culture argument is just a coward's way of making the race argument. The culture argument is a coward's way of making the racial argument. Okay? Everybody consumes black culture. So what are you trying to say? You think white people, poor white people seemingly consume more black culture? Is that what it is than rich white people? Is that why that same dynamic exists? Or is it because of their financial circumstances? Read my dog shit comment. Anyway, that's not the only problem here. Yeah. I hate the culture argument, the cultural argument. Black people have been consistently underserved systematically by the American government, and people still go, oh, it's the culture. Shut the fuck up. Is this a very convoluted way to blame black people for white kids doing mass shootings? What is? I don't know what you mean by that.
About the rest, so just that's just what I saw, and I try to help them, but
it was just senseless.
It was really senseless. Really, I don't know why a person would do that to someone just over that little argument. It's just crazy in this world nowadays how people just up and do that. Like that man has a family. That man has people that care about them all the time, and he did everything for our family too. He was a strong man. He was a strong kid. There was
chat degrades when the nephews get home from school. You're doing the village elders work, Hasan. It's important for me to teach the nephews not to be fucking racist because they haven't learned this lesson yet. Beyond material inequality, there's also the effect of over-policing. Yes, you're absolutely correct. That has on crime statistics. If you have 50 officers policing a neighborhood and compare that to a neighborhood with 5 police officers, you would expect that the crime statistics in the first neighborhood to show higher crime without that actually being the case. There's also a sentencing disparity amongst black people in comparison to white people. White people and black people, when in areas that have measured this, consume drugs at the same rate, and yet black people are caught at a higher rate and also prosecuted with longer sentences for the same exact crimes as white people. So all of this is an endless cycle of undermining black people in this country. And instead of analyzing and pouring through all of this data, the dumbest Republican will go, that's just woke bullshit, brother. I don't care. Yeah, facts don't care about your feelings, right? Except, you're making a Fifi's argument. Your feelings tell you that this is the case. Facts, on the other hand, explain a very different story. Anyway, this is a powder keg for race baiting bullshit for all the worst white supremacist monsters out there who are desperately looking for a story to focus on. Even if, for the record, this black teenager, unjustifiably went up and stabbed a white teenager, if you extrapolate any additional information about the entirety of the black population, you're just trying to justify your racist predetermination, okay? You've already arrived at that conclusion before the story came out, and you're just trying to make other people agree with you by pointing to the story. White people, white men in particular, comprise 74% of convictions on the procurement and creation of child sexual abuse material and child pornography. This does not mean that every white man is doing child pornography. Nobody ever assumes that every white man is engaging in child pornography. Now, chatters, when I mention this, will jokingly say, I do, but that's the difference, right? That's a joke because white men are the domineering force in American society, at least throughout American history. They are the in-group. They are the power group. So making a joke at the expense of white men is like making a joke at the expense of straight people. It's not the same as shitting on gay people. That's the difference between gay pride and straight pride. That's the difference between black pride and white pride. Very difficult dynamic to explain to people who go, well, the Merriam-Webster's definition for racism means, any kind of discouragement or whatever against people by creed of, the color of their skin. So I got you. It's like, yeah, okay, you got me. All right, yes, the Webster's definition is not as appropriate to use when we're making sociological determinations. Anyway. Touch me and see what happens. New details emerge surrounding Frisco track me stabbing in arrest affidavit. The suspect reportedly told the officer who arrested him that the 17-year-old victim put his hands on him and that he admitted that I did it.
WFAA has obtained new court documents revealing how Austin Metcalf was stabbed to death at a track meet in Frisco. Police say another teenager had fresh blood on his finger when they found him at Kirkendall Stadium.
The affidavit shows that when officers arrived, Carmelo Anthony told them he got into an argument with Metcalf, and when the arresting officer said he had the alleged suspect in custody, Anthony replied, "I'm not alleged, I did it."
But Anthony told officers he only acted in self-defense and asked them if Metcalf was okay.
Several witnesses paint a different picture, and Metcalf's father told Matt Howerton he is not buying the excuse.
I had a dream last night, and Austin came to me and said, "I'm okay." It gives me peace. Doesn't mean I don't hurt.
The last 24 hours, unimaginable for Austin Metcalf's father, his mother, his twin brother.
Right now, I'm really numb, and I really don't feel anything. I just have to function.
Metcalf, just 17 when he arrived at Frisco ISD's district track meet Wednesday. His final breaths taken before 11 a.m., police say, after being stabbed to death by a fellow Frisco ISD student, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, now charged with first-degree murder.
My world's a little shattered.
An argument over where Anthony was sitting while the meet experienced a rain delay sparked a confrontation between the teen and Metcalf. According to arrest paperwork, Anthony sitting underneath Metcalf's team tent. You could see it from the air when we flew over the crime scene. Metcalf from Memorial High, Anthony from Centennial. A witness telling police Metcalf told Anthony to move from under the team's tent because he didn't go to their school. The witness telling police Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." Investigators writing that Metcalf grabbed Anthony to tell him to move and that Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. When officers arrived, the knife was found and police say Anthony admitted to what happened, but said this to police: "He put his hands on me. I was protecting myself," even asking another officer if what happened could be considered self-defense.
What do you expect? If you're caught, the best thing you're gonna do is try to lie your way out of it.
Metcalf's father telling me self-defense is not a reasonable excuse.
The truth will come out. There were too many people that were there that saw what happened.
Father came out on Fox in a later interview on Fox saying this shouldn't be politicized and it's a human issue, not a racial or political one. I know it's too late though, because everyone is using this horrible situation, like this horrifying situation, as an opportunity to race bait and to relitigate a race war. No, it's not too late. First of all, it's okay for him to mourn, Chatters. The fuck are you talking about? His kid got stabbed to death at school. The fuck do you mean? I think it's shocking that he is not leaning into the 14 words narratives, to be fair, especially from, like, I assume, a predominantly white town. You know what I mean? Yeah, and guess what? He did that, and now people on fucking Twitter are calling him a cuck.
That people say it's very unfortunate that this other child decided to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion for every human being. I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know, they weren't there. It's very unfortunate that this other child decided.
Anyway.
My own son told me.
In Frisco.
They also didn't put this in the news article for WFAA, so that's cool. But yeah. Would this even be news if they were both white? It would still be local news, but it wouldn't make it into the national stage. That's for sure. And before people say, like, role reversal, we know what the role reversal looks like, okay? The role reversal is Daniel Penny exonerated and becomes a conservative hero, and also on top of that, exonerated, becomes a conservative hero, gets a fucking job at, like, Andreessen Horowitz. So we know what the difference is. We know what the role reversal looks like, okay? When a white person kills a black person, regardless of what either party has engaged in. So just so you understand, stand your ground does not work for black people. Every black person knows this. There's no stand your ground if you're black. Stand your ground is if you are a black victim of a white assailant. Yeah. In any case, yeah, that's the situation. Anyone that tries to extrapolate like racial dynamics out of this, or make, you know, grand arguments about how all black people are this way is a fucking racist. That's it.